I have over 1,300 hours in this amazing game that I love so much, and I've reached 46 out of the 49 possible achievements as well. Yet somehow, despite that, I've never actually reached perfection. I'd never actively gone for it. I was just playing the game. I decided that I would migrate my standard farm, which it was at the time, over to Legacy Farm, which is the first ever custom map that I designed for Stardew Valley. And that's actually available to download on Nexus, completely free of course, along with a bunch of other fun maps. And then I thought now's the time to actually go for perfection for the first time ever, and I am super excited to say that I finally did it. So the goal of today is to do one final farm tour now that it's fully complete. So we're going to take an in-depth look around the farm. I'm going to show you everything the maps have to offer, and yeah, let's jump on in and we'll start in the house. So what we'll do is we'll keep the time pause just like we did before, just so that I can show you everything without having to go through multiple days and going into the darkness. Now, I do use a few mods, but I want to keep this particular game as vanilla as possible. I love mods and I play with so many usually. However, this being my first ever save file, I wanted to keep it as close to vanilla as possible. So although I was going to try Stardew Valley Expanded fully and really explore it in this file, I've decided I'm going to do that in a separate game in order to keep this one as it is. So you'll see that I do use quite a few mods, however, nothing that adds content. So there's no extra crops or buildings or expansions in this one. It's mostly all recolors or quality of life. So I'll use things like faster animations, and I'll use automate and chests anywhere, simply because this farm is ridiculously oversized. I made it as my first ever map, and it was just for fun and a way to get very creative and just have over the amount I'd ever need, you know, so that's what it's for. And so although you can manage it manually, the problem is you'd spend the entire day on the farm and do nothing else by the time you finish everything. So automate takes that pressure off, and it allows me to make things, well, automated, so that helps quite a bit. Chests anywhere, I can't live without. I showed this off before, but I will show it again if you haven't seen that. But then after that, you can mostly see it's just a lot of Daisy Nicos, Earthy Recolor. We've got the animal replacements by Elle, which I absolutely love. Medieval buildings and the industrial furniture and kitchen interior, love those as well. And To Do is another one that I can't live without, and this one I'll just show you. This, if you haven't ever seen it, allows you to make to-do lists basically, but it's more than that. It allows you to have certain things pop up based on the days you set. So for example, say you're growing ancient fruit and you know that it's going to be ready in 7 days, you can set a reminder. For instance, I've got it, where is it? I think it's in my farm cave, so I think I've got one. Yeah, so this one here, it will repeat every 7 days. So once it pops up, all I simply do is, oh yeah, it reminds me I need to go and harvest the ancient fruit today. Once I've done it, I click done. For instance, I'll just do it on these ones and it will disappear off the list, but it will pop back up again in a week's time. So it's really helpful, especially with a massive farm. So that's a quick overview of the mods I'm using. The chests anywhere, basically you have a hotkey, which I've got mine set to C, and you can access all your chests from anywhere in the game. You can label them, you can arrange them, you can have different areas and different, you know, I've got one for the farm which has everything on my farm. Then I've obviously got all my buildings, so like my artisan shed, my crystallariums and so on. So I'll show that as we go around. But if we take a quick look around the house, you'll see that I use a lot of the industrial furniture that I mentioned in this save. I've always loved the look of it. There's one of my little kids. I'm still married to Elliot. He is the one and only I've ever married. So I've never got married in any other game. I've always stayed single so far. And I've not really played long enough in other games to really want to. But that is going to change very soon, because I do want to experience all the bachelors and bachelorettes and, you know, get to know their stories. So let's pop on down to the basement. If you haven't seen the last farm tour video, this is my legacy cellar. Again, it's a mod that I created and you can download it on Nexus. I haven't changed anything in here. I still keep my coffee and my tea. There's quite a bit on the actual farm that's changed now that I've completely decorated it and filled it out. But this area remains the same. I do still have my tea and coffee house that I've had since the beginning of this save file, back when it was on the standard farm. And now that I've got deluxe retaining soil, I don't have to worry about watering it. But my main coffee source is all done in here. And because of the wonders of Automate, when I harvest it, I just throw it into the chest and it will put it into the kegs for me and then put it back into the chest when it's ready. So it saves me a lot of time. One other thing is with this house, I didn't finish expanding it. I was happy with these rooms. I didn't have any use. I mean, I have this little room up here, which used to have my fish tanks in for legendary fish, but they're now in ponds, which you'll see later. So I didn't really feel the need to add all the other rooms because I don't really have a use for them at the moment. I kind of like this particular layout the way it is, so I'm going to leave it this way for now. The only other thing is I used to keep all my chests for storage down here, but now I have a dedicated workshop for them. So this is just fall and Christmas decorations, which, as you probably notice, I've got my Christmas tree out pretty much year round, so that rarely gets used. But the really cool thing is I do have all the secret statues. Now, some of the mods I use change the look of some of them, like this piano piece here is actually the Wamba statue from the movie theatre, but until I take the mod out, it looks like that. But we've got the Iridium Krobus, the frog, all the secret statues that you get around the map from doing certain little things. So yeah, I've been collecting those as well. But without further ado, let's head on outside to the farm and have a really good look at everything. Oh, don't you just love how beautiful this game is in autumn? I absolutely love it. Now, the first thing you'll notice, not only do we finally have the golden clock, but I have more pets. Now, I've got 3 little dogs. This one's Kuru. And then we've got 2 other German Shepherds, Max and Mia. And I added these to my farm because my family grew up with German Shepherds and they were rescues. But over the years, obviously, we lost them. And so this was like a really nice way that I could keep the memory of them and how much they meant to us as a family. So yeah, I have my 3 dogs and I still have my cat, which represents both of mine in real life. So what I think we'll do is, just like before, we'll kind of work our way around and I'll show you everything that the farm has to offer. I'll also show you all of the legacy maps because I do have them in this save file so you can get a really good look at them. So before we get started, let me pop up a screen picture here so I can show you the entire farm as a whole. So this gives you an idea of what it kind of looks like, but we're going to go round and have a really good look at it properly because there are some additional areas in this map as well. But that's just to give you an idea of what it looks like overall. So let's start off on the right here. Now, the first thing, we've got all of our rare crows and our golden clock. I've yet to find a really good area for the golden clock, so at the moment it's kind of staying here. These up here are the obelisks. So this is the desert, this is the island, this is the beach, this is the mountain. But I use a mod called Ancestral Trees, which I think I've mentioned before. And it just changes the look of them. So it is quite outdated, the mod, so I don't think it's up to date, but it still works perfectly fine. It's just the colours don't always match the other mods, but I still prefer it to the massive obelisks, so I'm still keeping that in. Right up here we have our tractor mod. Still love this, and it's definitely handy on this massive farm. But we also have our farm file, which has changed quite a bit since the last time I showed this, now that we've completed everything. I literally have, in-game, I have only these 3 achievements. For some reason, I never got these ones, because when I finally was able to get back into the file, it was post the new update, so I haven't completed the raccoons at that point. I hadn't even somehow got the infinite sword, so I need to do that. And I'd never had an unforgettable soup, which I've done multiple times in my other games. But so they're the 3 achievements I need to do within the game. But in the Steam achievements, I've got all of them apart from 3, which is the Joja route, because I've never done it, the Prairie King, and then whichever the locked one is. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's something to do with Junimo Kart. I'm not sure. But yeah, so right up here, we've got our Junimo treehouse. This comes with the farm. And let me just zoom in a little bit. these are magic warps and they're available from early games. So there's multiple versions available, but this one is the standard vanilla one. And starting from the top here, we've got the desert warp, we've got the mountains, we've got, I think this is the sewer for this one. Yep, the sewer. Then we've got the beach, we've got Ginger Island, and then the secret woods. So I don't really use this often now because I've got the obelisks, but in the early game, it can be really, really handy. But a lot of the time I forget it's here, to be honest. But I do grow starfruit up here. I have so much growing throughout the farm and I'm processing so many different things all over the place to keep it fun and have variety. So I thought starfruit, you know, up here kind of makes sense, just like I mentioned in the last video. So that's where I do this. And again, it's all automated, so it will throw my wine in there and pull it back out when it's ready. So that is our Junimo treehouse. Let's head on back out to the farm and we'll zoom out a little bit just so you can see a little bit more as we go round. Now we'll head into the farm cave in a moment, which is right up here. But first I'll show you this area. This has changed quite a bit since the last tour. So now we have 4 dedicated sheds. I think we only had 2 before. I think it was... yeah, I think maybe it was either the crystallarium... no, it wasn't. It was the workshop with the furnaces and so on, I think. And then the coffee and tea house. So I'll show you that. So this has been here since the very beginning. It was one of the first things I ever built when I had this save file. And I absolutely loved it. Obviously, nowadays I use all the coffee and tea is in my basement, in the cellar, but I still love this room and I won't ever get rid of it. So I do occasionally come in here and harvest it, and I'll throw the coffee in here to be done. There's some in there right now, but mostly it's just a really cozy room that I love having on the farm. That is our tea and coffee house. Next to that, we've got our crystallariums. Now I have a little bit of everything going in here, and it's all automated, so it'll pull it into the chest, and then every couple of weeks I'll pop over to the desert to trade them. So that's always a good supply to have. And then the newest addition is the artisan shed. I used to have all my machines inside the coops and barns, and I only had 2 coops and 2 barns at the time, but now I've got one for every animal pretty much. For the most part, and I'll show you that, especially the new exciting additions. So I decided to set up a dedicated shed to process all the stuff, so I've not got it in every single coop and barn, and I prefer this much more. So now I just drop it all in here, and again I just pop it in the chest. It processes it all for me, including the fish row, because I have a lot more ponds now, and it's all in one nice organised place, so I love this quite a bit. And then finally, we have the workshop. Now, I've had this as well for quite a long time. It used to have my furnaces in it, and then I moved them into the cave. And now it stores all my chests. So this is just a place. I've got my crafting table, obviously, the bone meal, the geode crusher, anvil, and so on. But this is like any additional storage where I just keep things. So my fruits are in here, vegetables, flowers, forage, fish, gems, some goods, any fishing stuff, just things that I don't need to get to often, but I like to keep storage of. And I found that 1 chest for each has been enough because I separate a lot of it. So yeah, I've always loved this shed and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So that's our kind of utility area, I guess you could call it. So before we go down, let's pop into the cave and I'll show you Legacy Farm Cave. So this may look familiar, especially if you've either used the mod yourself or you've seen my other farm tours, but this is my Legacy Farm Cave. I do have the mushrooms, and this is where I grow ancient fruit. Now, if you're not familiar with this cave, it does have a replenishable spa, so you can pop in here and refill your energy, although mine barely goes down at this point because I'm so far in the late game. But that was really, really helpful early days. You've obviously got the minecarts here as well. And one thing I am trying to figure out is how to add, you know, custom areas to the minecart eventually, so that when I use it in other games, I can link it back to the farm cave. So that's something I need to figure out, but I'm very new to modding, so it's not something I'm familiar with just yet. But we come down to the second floor, and this is where I process the ancient fruit that grows above. And again, I'll pop it into here. It will go into wine and then into the casks and so on. And on the final floor, we have our quarry. Wow, that's a lot of radioactive ore. I haven't cleaned this out for quite a while because I've got more ores than I actually need right now. I'll just show you. If I go into my workshop, I've got so many bars and so many ores. I don't need any at the moment, so I kind of just leave this to be. But I have been coming in, gathering the hardwood every day because I need it for mushroom logs, which I'll show you why later. But yeah, so I keep my furnaces and my kilns down here, and again, just throw it all in there and it's sorted. And this cave does spawn forage, so you'll find forage throughout the cave every few days. Well, I think every day actually, if I remember rightly. It's usually every day for me. That's why I got the mushrooms. I mean, I picked mushrooms right in the early on because I wanted them anyway, but it works really well with this cave because you can have fruit and mushrooms that way. But that is Legacy Farm Cave. So now we get to go down to see all the animals, and we'll go through the crops and things later, but there's 4 massive plots. But I'm really excited to show this because I've changed this quite a bit. Now, I used to have 2 coops here for chicks and ducks, and then I had 2 barns below in the one just south here, which had the cows, sheep, goats and pigs. But I've since moved them now because I've got dedicated coops for everything. So in the first one, we've got all our chickens. We've got the blue, the void, the white and the brown. And I do finally have gold chickens, which I've never ever had in the game before. Because obviously you need to hit perfection. I've only got the one at the moment, which is in the other coop, but I'm gradually working on building that up. But this is another mod of mine called Legacy Coops and Barns. So it adds bigger maps and it comes with the option of an additional area. In my last farm tour, I showed off the additional area at the bottom that you can use for machines if you want it. But I took it out of mine because I wasn't really using it. And now I use the artisan shed, so it was kind of redundant. So I prefer it just without. But yeah, this is one of the coops. Well, actually, we'll let them out. This one is all the ducks. Again, pretty much the same. It's not gonna. They're all gonna look very, very similar. And then if we head on down, this is where I've now got golden chickens, although like I said, I've just got the one and it's hiding right up here. So I'm really excited to get more. I've got one incubating, and then we'll gradually fill this out with a whole bunch of them, which will be really fun. And then next to that, we've got ostriches, and I haven't quite filled this out yet. I think I've still got a couple more to add in here. And then, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got one incubating, that's 8. So we can have another 4 at some point. But yeah, that's our ostriches. And then I have more animals down on the other side of the farm, which I'm going to show you later. But before I forget, we're going to pop into the winery area. And this is an additional area that comes with the farm. It's called the vineyard. And I mentioned this before as well, but I use this to grow things every season. So in fall, I usually set it up with cranberries. In the summer, it's usually melons or blueberries. But yeah, I set it up to be like an actual vineyard. So I plant everything in rows like this. I just really like the aesthetic of it, and I thought it was pretty fun. And then we have this building that comes with it as well, called the winery. And this is where I process whatever I'm doing. So this has got 3 levels to it as well. You've got an upstairs, a downstairs and this central room. So we'll start upstairs. Now up here, I think this was quite empty before the last time I showed it off, but this is where I'll age whatever wine I'm making seasonally. It's not really worth much, but I'm so late in the game now that apart from the fact I spent a bunch of money the last few days, I'm usually at millions, so I don't go for what's going to make me the most money now. I just do things for fun. So cranberry wine age is not going to, you know, make me millions, but it's nice to have the variety. So at the moment we're doing cranberry wine, and then this is where I age regular cheese and goat cheese. And I made this cute little seating area as if you're doing wine tasting, which I thought was kind of cute as well. Heading back downstairs, we're going to take the stairs down to the basement of this building. Now, I use this area to grow hops, and I use indoor apiary to allow me to have bee houses inside. And that's because I've got fairy rose honey growing in the greenhouse garden, which I'll show you later. So this one is specifically to make mead, and this one is obviously to make the pale ale. So these are all planting areas that you can use any season, any crop, so it works like a greenhouse, so you can decide whichever you want to use it for. But yeah, I'll harvest everything down there, I'll throw it into the relevant area, and it will process it all automatically for me. This is still set up with melons from summer because I haven't even finished going through them, but it will turn to cranberries very soon, I'm sure. So that is our winery. So let's head back onto the farm and we'll head back down. We've come out the north entrance. There's 2 entrances. Oh, look at the crops. I love when they're all ready. It looks so nice. Now, coming straight down from there, we've got our quarry, and I've decorated this a little bit, but not too much. And again, I have cleared this one out recently, but I don't really use it too often. It's not often that I need ores and that right now. You know, I've pretty much crafted everything I need to craft. So I just clear it out now and again, very rarely. And if you haven't used this map, this is a quick travel farm cart that will take you up to the top of the farm right near your farmhouse. So it's a nice way to get about pretty quick. Continuing along to the left, this is where you enter Cindersap Forest. So this is your southern exit, and as you can see, I'm doing quite well with the raccoons now. I think I've almost finished them. I think they've got maybe 1 or 2 more babies to have. And just for reference, if you was to follow this central path all the way up between the crop fields, this will bring you directly to your farmhouse. So it's a nice easy route from the top to the bottom of the farm. And one thing I didn't mention that helps me out quite a bit is I have the mini obelisk. So when I'm doing my morning chores, I'll get to the animals here and I'll use this obelisk, which will walk me to the other ones. But we're going to walk down there because I'm going to show some things off along the way. So as we walk along the bottom area of the farm, this is where we come to the area that I've most recently added. In the last farm tour, if you did see it, you'll know this bottom area was blank. I had nothing in it and I had no idea what I wanted to do with it yet. But now this is where I keep all the rest of my animals, so I'll just walk around real quick to show you. I recently did the key quest for the first time that gets you to catch the legendary fish again. So I have all of them in ponds now spread out around the farm, and you'll see that in just a moment. But this is where, I won't go into every single coop and barn, but this is where I've got additional animals. So I think in here we've got rabbits, yep. And then we've got cows and goats in these 2 below it. This one's got the sheep and the pigs, and then this one is dinosaurs, which we now have a full coop almost of. I think before we only had 1 or 2. I'll let them out later. But I've got 2 of the fish ponds here. And then continuing up, we've got the rest of them here. And I love how the colour of the water changes. It looks so cool. But before, I used to have my tree tappers here. But I really wanted fish ponds for all of the legendary fish, including the counterparts. So that's what I've done now. And I like it a lot more. I'm really enjoying it. On the right side of the river, I keep all the lightning rods. I have added quite a few more. But again, it's automated, so it pulls them into the chest for me and I don't have to really think about it. They're just there when I need them. And then coming up to our final 2 fish ponds, we've then got the slime hutch. Now this one has changed a little bit since I last recorded. I had to kind of re-get a lot of my slimes because I lost all the interesting ones I had. So they're gradually getting there. I think I'm at the max level at the moment, but I'm happy with the variation, so it's pretty cool. And for those of you interested, I'm using medieval buildings on the farm, and the inside of this building is actually a mod that I don't think is available anymore. It's called Escratat Seasonal Winery, I think is how you say it. And it changed the slime hutch to look like this because I used to use it as a winery before I got slimes. But I don't think it's available anymore. I think it's hidden now. But it still works perfectly fine for my farm, so I'm not changing it. But yeah, that's our slime hutch. Continuing up to the top of the farm, we've got our dedicated area for Grandpa's shrine, and this is where I'll just plant flowers every season and keep it looking pretty. Before we go back over to the right to see a bit more, I'm going to show you the left area that comes with the farm, which is the farm forest. Now mine's a bit cluttered because I've moved my tappers in here and I'm also using it to farm wood. So I'll show you that. So this is quite jam-packed for me, but what I'm doing is I've moved all my tappers in here. So for my pine, maple, oak, and what will eventually be mystic when I can get enough seeds to fill it out. But at the moment it's got one fiddlehead fern tree and the rest just pine that are not tapped. And I'm gradually filling out mushroom logs in between. I think I'm up to like this row. But this is why I'm farming the hardwood every day, because I want to fill it out completely. And again, this will just pull all into the chest for me, including the blackberries and things that spawn or anything that touches the connecting path. So it's really, really helpful. Apparently it also gathered a shirt from one of the trees, which is quite funny. But it'll even pull mystery boxes and things, which is pretty fun. But these stumps, they respawn every day, so it's really, really handy. This and in the cave gives me a constant source of hardwood without having to go to the secret woods unless I want to. It also spawns forage, so you'll find lots of different forage here. And the pond is purely decorational. Unlike the farm where you can catch multiple kinds of fish, this one is just trash. So it's really handy if you get that special order, but I don't really fish in this one unless I have that. And then down here is my wood farm. I've not really needed it for a while, but if I need loads of wood really quickly, I'll come in here either with the tractor or just manually and chop it all down and replant the seeds. But yeah, it looks really nice. Wait, oh yeah, I've got mahogany there as well because I think I was starting to grow that. Coming out of here, this brings us back down to where the fish ponds and slime hutch is. So there's two different entrances and exits, and you can do anything you want in this area. That's just what I'm particularly using it for. So that is the bottom part and the whole left-hand side of the farm. If we head up by this river, this is where the minecart from the quarry brings you. But there's also a secret little cave behind. And if I zoom right in, because it's only a little cave, this, if you don't have Legacy Farm Cave, this would be your replenishable spa that you have access to on the farm. And again, you can come in here, get your energy refilled and carry on. I don't really use it now because energy is very rarely an issue. And also I tend to be near the farm cave more often than not. So I will generally use that if I need to. But it's there if you need it. And with that, we are back at the top of the farm. The only thing left to really show you, I think, would be the greenhouse. So we're going to pop in there. Now, this greenhouse is absolutely huge, and it is the Legacy greenhouse. But I love it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. When we come in, this is our entryway, and we've got 3 big rooms. So one in the centre, one off to the left and right, which are pretty much exactly the same, the left and the right, but I use them for different things. But we've also got a basement area, which is ridiculously large, and an outside garden area. So we'll start in the middle room. Now with this one, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can get a feel for it. This has got 4 massive plot areas in the middle and then some smaller plots off to the side. And going up, it will lead you out to the garden. And then we've got an entrance to the left and right for the side rooms. And we've got an entrance to the bottom for the basement on either side. Now, because I'm zoomed so far out, if I go down enough, you'll see other parts of the map peek through. But normally you can't see that, obviously. I'm zoomed out a lot more than you can in game. But it took me a long time to decide what I wanted in here. So I've gone by what I've set machines up for downstairs. So I'll show you that in a little bit. But what we'll do is we'll pop over to the side. So I've got loads and loads of grapes because I'm making raisins for the Junimos. And then we've got strawberries, blueberries, cranberries and pineapples. I do have pineapples on Ginger Island, but I have a little extra here. Now, this side room, there's 2 of these, one either side of the main room we just looked at. I just use this for my orchard, so I've got all of my trees in here. And this is fantastic if you do play with modded crops and trees, because it gives you so much space to plant them all. But I obviously don't use that in this particular save file now, so I'm just keeping the regular ones in here. But it gives me enough of each one that I can process them downstairs. So we'll head back to the central room and I'll show you the other side. So if we come back through the central room and we take the right hand side exit, this brings us to the other room, which is identical to the one we've just seen. But this side I use for crops. Now obviously you can use it for whatever you like. You might want another orchard over here. You might want all of them to be crops or something else. But I just grow a little bit from every season here so that because I'm gradually stocking up with everything I kind of want. I want to have like a good surplus of everything in this file. So I plant a little bit for spring, summer and autumn all along in here. I think originally I was going to have all the grapes in here, but I don't really need to now. So this is what I'm using it for. And there is another exit to the garden, which we're going to show. But we'll go out through the middle. Now this hasn't changed if you've seen my last farm tour. This one's still the same. It's still got loads of fairy rose. Now technically this is classed as inside, so it doesn't change with the seasons, and you can plant any flowers out here that you want to, whether you want to use the summer flowers or obviously fairy rose. But yeah, I have loads of honey going on out here, so that makes me quite good money. And then the final part to see is the bottom room. Now, if you did see the last tour, you'll know that it was pretty much empty. There was a few kegs and casks down there, but again, it was an area that I didn't really know what I wanted to do with. However, I have filled it out quite a bit now over the last year or two in game, so I'll show you. So now it's got everything. So there's a little bit of everything. So pretty much all of my main fruits that I grow year round from the trees or from the regrowable ones like cranberries, pineapples, blueberries, strawberries, they're all processed into both jelly and wine down here. So we've got the bananas, the pomegranates, the apples, the mangoes. I have a section here just to process the grapes into raisins, corn for cooking oil. And then we've got peach, apricot, orange, cherry, and of course the strawberries and blueberries. So this is how I ended up setting it up in the end. So obviously I had way too much space, more than what I needed, but it was a fun way to fill it out and again, have that variety. I'm at the point now where I don't really ever need money. So what I tend to do is let everything sit in the chest until the end of the month. And then at the end of the season, I'll harvest everything from the whole map, sell it off for one massive payday, which is super fun to see, to be honest. It's kind of funny to almost break the end screen. But yeah, so these side entrances, they take you into the respective rooms as well, so it's a quick shortcut. But that is the Legacy greenhouse. And I pretty much believe that's the entire farm. It is. Wow. That didn't take long at all, but let me know what you think down below. I mean, I'm really, really happy to have reached perfection on this and finally feel like my first ever save file is complete. But what it's done for me is made me really want to start a new game, hopefully on the channel. Whether I do it as like 100, 200 plus days as kind of style, or whether we do it as a let's play, where we actually start from the beginning and go to perfection. I mean, with 1300 hours in this game, I do know quite a bit about it, so it'd be fun to put it to the test. Hopefully get perfection, you know, within a fun time frame and actually play it through from the beginning with that goal in mind. So yeah, and at some point I'm going to have to do a Jojo route. As much as it pains me and it's going to, you know, I'm going to feel so dirty. I'm going to have to do it for the achievement because it's one of the ones I've just never got. So I'm going to have to do it. But let me know what you think of the farm, and if you've played with it yourself or any of the legacy maps, I would love to hear what you think. I mean, on the last couple of farm tours that we did, you guys left me some amazing comments, and I will link the video down below that gives an overview of all the maps as well, in case you want to check that out. But yeah, thank you for all your lovely comments, your support and your feedback. It really does mean the world to me. If you have any questions regarding the mods, do let me know either here or on Nexus. But yeah, this is Legacy Farm, all complete, fully perfected. And now it's time to move on to a fresh new farm, or maybe even a new challenge. So stay tuned for that. But I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.